Hi guys, so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about while loops. Now, a while loop, a loop in general, just means that we're repeating some code over and over again given a set of rules. So I'm just going to show you a little example right here. I equals 0 while I is less than 5. Print hello. And then we're going to have I equals I plus 1. Now this is the most basic form of a loop. Basically what's happening right here is we're creating a variable called I and setting it equal to 0. And then we're saying while I is less than 5, print hello, and then add 1 to I. So this code is going to repeat while I is less than 5 is true. Okay, so each time this runs, we're going to print hello, and then we're going to add I to 1. Now keep in mind, we're going to start out with I being 0, and then it's going to be 1, and then it's going to be 2, and then it's going to be 3, and then it's going to be 4, and then finally it'll be 5, at which point this will stop. We'll get up here, we'll see I is 5, and then we'll stop and we won't do this. Now what's crucial to understand is the flow. So basically what happens, we're starting on this line, I equals 0. Then we're going to while I is less than 5, print hello. We're doing this code, and then we're going back here. And we're checking that condition. And if I is still less than 5, we're going to do this. Otherwise, we're going to go right down here. So right here, we can say print loop over, and then move on, okay? So we're basically trapped right in here while this condition, I is less than 5, is true. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's go ahead and execute this actually. So right here you can see we printed hello. I'm going to go ahead and close this right here. We printed hello 5 times. And then we got to loop over. Now I'm also going to print out I. All right. So I'm going to print out I followed by hello. So you can kind of just see what's going on here each time. So we're obviously going to start with I equals 0, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. And then when it becomes 5, when it becomes 5, we'll go up here and we'll check, is 5 less than 5? And it's not. So we're going to stop and move to loop over. So let's go ahead and run this just so you can see. I'll go ahead and save this. So right here you can see 0, hello. Actually, we should get rid of this hello. That doesn't make sense. And let's kind of make this a little prettier, right? All right, let's do that. Let's run this. All right. And okay, let's just not try to keep it. Let's not make it fancy. Let's do that. Let's clear this right here. Okay, so you can see 0, hello, 1, hello, 2, hello, 3, hello, 4, hello. So effectively, this ran 5 times. I is less than 5, I started 0. This ran 5 times. Now if we change this to 1, that means we're starting at 1, and we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we do that, then that's how it works. So this is basically our condition. This is our initial value, initial variable, and this is our counter. All right. This is the basic structure of a while loop. Now let's see what happens if we don't do this. If we just get rid of that, let's see what happens. Well, it pretty much goes on infinitely and then stops at some point because of the fact that the value of I is never changing. So we go to while I is less than 5, print this out, and then hello, and then we keep going back up, right? We get to the end right here and we keep going back up, but I never changes. So we're basically stuck doing the same thing over and over again for all eternity. So we need to have that I equals I plus 1. Also, let's say we make it, let's say I is less than 10, right? And we decide we want to increase by 3 every time, for example. Okay? So you can see right here we got 1, 4, and then 7. And then when we printed out 7 hello, we added 3. So I equaled 10, we went up here, and 10 is not less than 10, so then we went to loop over and we were done. Okay. Now another variation of this, getting a bit more complex. So you have to remember this code right here is going to be executed every single time. Also, just to point out, in order to do this, you've got while, your condition right here, and then you've got tabs. So these tabs indicate the code that is inside the loop. Now, also this condition, by the way, is a Boolean condition. So for example, if we do I is less than 10, let's say that cond equals I is less than 10, okay, and we print out cond. We'll just go ahead and run this like this, and we're going to get true right here. So this is fundamentally a Boolean condition, and everything in here will continue to execute while this is true. I'll set this back to 0. Now we're going to do a slightly more complex example. We're going to do sum equals 0. And we're going to get an input. Let's make this 3 times. We're going to get an input. So we're going to say num equals int input, enter a number. And this means that this code is going to repeat 3 times, okay? So basically 3 times we're going to be asked to enter a number. And every time we get the number, we're going to add it to sum equals sum plus num. So that means that each time this num, whatever we entered, is being added to this sum variable, which starts out at 0. Now we put this out here outside the loop, so we can actually add information to it from inside the loop. If we just did this, that means sum would reset to 0 every single time we go through it. So we'd go right up here, we check if this is true, and then sum would reset to 0, and then we would continue. So there'd actually be no point. So that's why sum is outside the loop, and we're modifying sum from inside the loop during each iteration. So let's go ahead and let's run this code. So we're going to enter a number, 5, 6, and 9. And actually, we should probably print out the sum at the end. Also, traditionally in most, this doesn't exactly apply in Python, but traditionally in most programming languages, if you create a variable called num in here, then it is not available outside the loop. So it only exists inside here. That is a concept called scope. So that's something to keep in mind. And sum is outside the while loop, so we can use sum here, here, and in here. So let's go ahead and print this out. Enter number. Actually, let me just clear this. Clear 5, 6, and 9. And we've got 20. All right. So this is actually kind of one of the most common uses of a loop. It's called totaling. So basically adding up some number or something like that from inside the loop. So we're getting data repeatedly from the user and then adding it to some other variable, some box out here outside the loop. Now let's say someone enters a number that is maybe too big. All right. So we can, if num is greater than 10, if we want to stop this loop from functioning, we can do break. So no matter how many iterations we are, no matter what I is, if num is greater than 10, this is going to break us out of this loop. This is going to break us out of this little cycle right here and send us to print sum and print loop over. So just to give you an example, let me go ahead and clear this. And let's say we do enter number 5, 3, 12. So we just got 8. So we just ended the loop, we broke out of it, and we just ended up adding the 2 to sum because we broke out of it before we could add 12 to the sum. And that break is another common keyword or common piece of functionality that is used. Now let's go ahead and let's look at a slightly more complex condition. Now keep in mind that we did I is less than 3. You can know all sorts of stuff like I is not equal to 3, I is less than or equal to 3. It's really up to you. The sky's the limit. So let me just go ahead and move this down here. And I want to show you a little example. What we're going to do is we're going to set, instead of using an integer, we're going to use a string. We're going to say choice equals an empty string. Now, while choice does not equal q, do some stuff. So choice equals input, enter y to display your name in reverse, or q. I'll probably have to end up zooming out for this one. Or q to quit. Okay. Now we're going to say if choice equals y, then go ahead and print the name, get a name and print it in reverse. So name equals input, enter your name, and then print name -1. And then also we're going to say if choice does not equal y, then we're going to use something called continue. And continue is going to send us right back up to the top right here. All right. So we're going to go right back up to the top right here. We're going to check the value of choice. And then we're going to run the loop again. So that's what continue does. It sends us right back up to the top. Unlike break, which just sends us right down here. So if choice does not equal y, then continue. We could also do other things. We could also break, for example, if you wanted. We could break and we could say fun is over. All right. So basically how this is going to work is you enter y to display your name or q to quit. If you enter q, well also if choice is not equal, well, okay. We'll get to that in a moment, but if you enter q, then you're not going to go through this one. Actually, let's just get rid of this. So you're going to go to this condition and choice doesn't equal y, so nothing's going to happen. But you're going to go right back up here and you're going to check, is choice not equal to q? So you're going to say while choice is not equal to q, then keep going. But if you type in q, then choice becomes q, all right? So that means that this is going to break and we're going to go to fun is over. Probably a better way to do this is you could say elif choice does not equal my Russian keyboard again. Y and choice does not equal q. You can display a message that says print, follow the instructions. And this will send us right back up here after this. We're going right back up here. So basically the only time that this loop is ending is going to be when this is false and choice is equal to q. All right. Let's go ahead and run this and let's see what happens. So let's say we type in y, a myth, and then we display it in reverse. And see, once we've done this, we're going all the way to the bottom and we're going right back up. Enter y to display your name in reverse or q to quit. So we'll enter q. And then it stops and says fun is over right down here. Because this condition right here ended up being false, where choice was not equal to q. So basically choice was actually equal to q. So this was false and this loop ended and you moved to fun is over. So this is actually an example of how to create some basically more interactive programs in Python using while loops. Now let's go ahead and let's do some exercises. We're just going to do some simple exercises. The first one is going to be exercise 1. Print every odd number up until 10. So we're going to say I equals 0, while I is less than 10. Well, actually, let's start with the first odd number. The first odd number is 1. So, well, let's say up until 10, including 10. 10 is an odd number, but anyways, that's fine. So while I is less than 10, including 10, so while I is less than equal to 10, which again, this doesn't make a difference because 10 is even anyways. We'll say I equals, well, we'll print I first, because we want to print out 1. And then we'll say I equals I plus 3. 2, actually. Because then we'll start with 1, then we'll have 3, and we'd have 3, and then we'd have 5, then we'd have 7, and then we'd have 9. So let's go ahead and run this. Exercise 1. Okay. I did it a little fast, but remember that you should actually stop this video and do these exercises on your own and then look at the answer. Next time, the next one is exercise 2. And this one is write a while loop that prints the sum of all numbers up to, but not including 100. So go ahead and stop it, do the exercise. I'm going to go ahead and write the code. We're going to say I equals 0, sum equals 0, while I is less than 100. Sum, well, we'll say, yeah, okay, sum equals sum plus I. Because remember, I is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So each time we're going to add that to sum up here. And I equals I plus 1. Keep in mind, I equals I plus 1 can also be written like this. I plus equals 1. And then print sum. So let's go ahead and run that. And that's the sum. So those are just 2 simple exercises to get you started. Anyways, I hope this has been useful to you. If you want to see more tutorials like this, and you found value in this, please make sure to like and subscribe. Have a nice day.